This is how you died. You were worrying about something. Something that you probably thought was important. More important than the sky over your head and the strange things happening there. More important than the odd and scientifically implausible shapes the clouds were making. But that was the only warning you would get before the ground cracked and the horizon stretched like chewing gum torn between the pavement and a shoe. By then, self-interested creature that you are, you were already more worried about the ways your own body was betraying you. It too was distorting and spreading away, turning you into your own funhouse mirror reflection. You felt all of it. Every nerve being dragged away from every other throughout your body, all at once. It was the most complete pain. You never saw it coming. You would never know why it happened, and after a couple of seconds, it was over forever. At least it was quick. And so the first leg of the journey began. It ended at a door. The door was set into the base of an impossibly tall tower the shape of a sword blade, and made out of a material that looked and felt like porcelain. The door itself was only visible as a circular pattern carved into the otherwise impermeable wall of the tower. It had been closed a long time. In the length of time it took slime to become slime that could swim, slime that could crawl across the land and stand up and learn how to use tools and write stories and eat up their world and sit staring into the unknowable sky as the last few elderly slime descendants died away, and for everything they built to be eroded into dust while new slime took their place, the door stayed shut. And then, 31 days after you died, it opened. Pieces of the porcelain wall slid back and away. Blue light spilt out of the door and onto the ground around the tower, where it was broken by 3 shadows emerging into the world. A local would have seen 3 bipedal figures with grey and black skin, lit in places by the occasional bar of coloured electrical light. They each had 2 manipulating limbs and a shape like a stone tablet fastened to their backs. Where most creatures in this world kept a cluster of sensory organs on top and to the front, these things had a single golden orb. The foremost creature reached up a limb and slid back its gilded dome, revealing a glass bowl that contained a far smaller, meteor-looking head. Its face was mostly a pair of imposing cheekbones, held together by an equally threatening chin. Placing a hand on each hip, he looked into the distance and intoned, "We began as wanderers, and we are wanderers still. We have lingered long enough on the shores of the cosmic ocean. We are ready at last to set sail for the stars." Despite the gravitas of his words, his voice had the cheery confidence of someone explaining the rules of sports they only play in the expensive schools. The figure to his right lifted her own visor, revealing a face just lined enough to look distinguished. It had graced the cover of 1,000 industry publications back home. "Samson, did you spend the entire flight over here choosing that quote?" she asked. Samson faced away from her as if inspecting some far horizon as he said, "I may have picked it out before we left." Except, of course, there was no horizon. The ground and the sky simply faded out in the distance, leaving a white blur to separate the two. Directly in front of the astronauts was a grassy incline, coasting downwards onto flat green terrain that rolled out to the absent horizon, broken only by a single straight blue river bisecting the landscape. The third astronaut opened his visor, revealing a face that looked oddly like Samson's, except this face had jowls instead of cheekbones, and softer, more numerous chins. "It's a bit disappointing, isn't it?" he said. Samson looked aghast. "Disappointing? How?" "Well, isn't this supposed to be the inside of a sphere? Shouldn't the horizon be all curving up into the distance while massive alien continents hang in the sky above us? I was expecting some serious majesty. This looks like the Norfolk Broads." The Fermi is the Earth's first and last faster-than-light spaceship. The last? because it turns out its engine vaporises entire star systems in its wake. And nobody knows how to turn it off. There was an ocean planet sheathed in a crust of ice. The LiDAR detected metropolises gathering round underwater volcanoes. There was a tidally locked world, freezing night on one side, brutal blistering day on the other. Clusters of dim red lights bejewelled the twilight line between the two and had begun to reach out into the darkness. They all died. So you're saying, what's simpler? That an English-speaking telepathic shapeshifter is trying to con its way onto our spaceship, or that there's been another person on board the entire time and we just forgot about her? Connor said. Occam's razor isn't what it used to be.
4 planets, 4 adventures, 4 apocalypses. Fermi's Progress by Chris Farnell, available now at Amazon, and Scarlet Ferret,